As we just shared, the role of bishop is deeply rooted in the apostolic office as described in the New Testament. The church was birthed in a multicultural and pagan world where multiple gods were honored. The apostles led the way in guiding the early church to be salt and light as they shared the distinctiveness of the gospel and honored one God alone. The words of Jude, verse 3, were an apostolic appeal to the early Jesus followers. Jude writes, "Dear friends, although I was very eager to write to you about the salvation we share, I felt compelled to write and urge you to contend for the faith that was once for all entrusted to God's holy people." That was what compelled the early leaders, contending for the faith. The roles of apostle and bishop were teaching offices that contended for the faith in a pluralistic culture. Any student of John Wesley would understand that although he never called himself a bishop, he was the theological thought leader for the Methodist movement. Wesley contended for the faith. Much of his teaching is codified in our articles of religion, the standard sermons, and the general rules. His teaching continues to shape us today. From the days of Coke and Asbury, those who served as bishops were responsible for teaching and preaching our doctrine. Sadly, this emphasis was largely lost over the years, as bishops tended to focus their attention on the temporal leadership of their annual conference and neglected the teaching office. This lack of focus resulted in theological drift and doctrinal amnesia. The convening General Conference made two very important decisions related to the episcopacy in the Global Methodist Church. First, it made the teaching office of the episcopacy a top priority. Our Book of Doctrines and Disciplines states that our bishops are to guard, transmit, teach, and proclaim corporately and individually the apostolic faith that was expressed in the scripture and tradition and understood from a Wesleyan perspective. It goes on to say that our bishops are to reclaim and exercise the historic teaching office of the episcopacy by grounding the church in the faith once for all entrusted to the saints, and training lay and clergy leaders to apply our theology and challenges and opportunities of this present age. Your bishops are committed to reclaiming the teaching office. To enable us to do so, the General Conference also decided to return our movement to a non-residential episcopacy. I say return because the concept of residential bishops was not found in American Methodism until 1939. Prior to that time, bishops were non-residential general superintendents who, in the spirit of Coke and Asbury, traveled all over our connection, leading the church in evangelism as they taught doctrine and spread scriptural holiness. In the Global Methodist Church, we have divided the responsibilities according to gifts and call. Conference superintendents have responsibility for the day-to-day temporal leadership of an annual conference, while bishops have responsibility for teaching, evangelizing, presiding, ordaining, and appointing clergy. This distinction is freeing. It means that we as bishops can exercise our teaching office as we provide spiritual leadership and create continuity across all of our conferences and the countries we serve. And it means we get to think globally and biblically about our movement as it spreads.